If you're like my clients and you're in a phase right now where it seems like you just don't have the time, you just don't have the energy to devote to your marriage because there's too much going on, and you're finding yourself having very little motivation to do anything about it. Maybe you're like, I've tried everything I can think of, nothing is working. Maybe this is just how marriage is after kids. So we'll just let this ride out. And once the kids become more independent or move out, then we'll come back to each other. Then we'll devote time and invest in our marriage again. And I'll tell you that the clients who have done that have expressed regret for waiting so long to do something about it. Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. So I know from back in the day when I felt like my relationships were not working out, I was always finding myself wondering, what are these people doing differently that I'm not doing? How is it that they're having relationships that I envy? So what is it? Is it something about me? Is it something I'm not doing correctly? Is it something I'm not doing that I should be doing? What is going on? And so as I had that thought and memory pop up, I figured it would be probably pretty helpful for you to kind of let you in on what I do in my marriage to make sure that it continues to grow and continues to be enjoyable and evolves with me as I evolve as a woman. So that's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share 6 things that I do on a consistent basis to nurture my marriage that has worked so far. And it's been 11 years of us married. We've been doing this whole parenting thing since 2011 together with my stepson. And now we have a total of 3 kids. A teenager who's my stepson, a 9-year-old, and a 5.5-year-old. So even though life does get busy now that everyone's in school and they've got all these extracurriculars and, birthday parties and whatever, we still find ways to stay connected even while that's all going on. And I know that could be difficult to imagine for some, especially if you're like my clients and you're in a phase right now where it seems like you just don't have the time, you just don't have the energy to devote to your marriage because there's too much going on and you're tired and you're finding yourself having very little motivation to do anything about it because maybe you've tried a lot of things already. Maybe you're like, I've tried everything I can think of, nothing is working. Maybe this is just how marriage is after kids. So we'll just let this ride out. And once the kids become more independent, or maybe once the kids move out, then we'll come back to each other. Then we'll devote time and invest in our marriage again. And I'll tell you that the clients who have done that have expressed regret for waiting so long to do something about it. And for those rare couples that come to me proactively saying, okay, I noticed that we are heading down a path that won't be favorable for us and won't support our marriage growing. We want the tools and support to make sure that we don't end up hating each other or feeling like roommates and strangers. So I have couples come to me from all different stages, from this is our last ditch effort, and if this doesn't work, we're going to get divorced, to we are in it and we really need support because we don't want this anymore, to hey, I think we're going to get to that point. So let's do something about it. So if you're in any of those phases right now, you are in the right place. I'm glad you're tuning in because there are things that you can do to ensure the growth of your marriage. And I'm going to pull back the curtain on things that I find to be a non-negotiable in my marriage so that I know come 20 years from now, when all the kids are gone, or maybe even sooner than that, maybe later than that, I don't know. It's getting expensive to be an adult these days. But come that time when we're empty nesters, I want to secure our future together. I want to make sure that we're still strong as ever. I want to make sure that we are even more in love at that point and that we are still really great teammates, true partners in life, and that we don't end up wondering how do we interact with each other because we've used our kids as buffers all this time as an excuse to stay together because we need each other to get through this and survive parenthood. No, I very much want our marriage to still continue thriving and feel like we want to spend time together, feel like we enjoy spending time together, and not just be left standing there scratching our heads like, what do we talk about? I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know what to do with you. I don't even know how to enjoy time with you. And it's like you're complete strangers. And I very much don't want that for you either. So whether you still like your husband or maybe you really dislike your husband, you need to tune in and take notes if necessary, or replay this over and over, because this is going to be a good episode to come back to as a refresher, because life does get in the way sometimes and we get carried away and our focus starts to get off track to what really matters. And we start focusing on the busy stuff and forget our true priorities. And I'm no exception. There are times where I'm like, oh shoot, we haven't done this in a while, because I'm noticing the symptoms of our marriage falling off the rails, right? Like maybe we become more irritable with each other, or we're less physically affectionate with each other, or we're laughing less, right? Any of those signs that you can think of and be like, oh yeah, those are things that happen when we're disconnected. This is a great episode to come back to remind you, oh, what are those touch points that I need to be making? What are the things that I need to focus my energy into? Because the reality is that we are busy as hell, right? Whether you work or you don't work. Parenting is a full-time job and it is exhausting and draining, but also fulfilling. And we still want our marriage to succeed. That is why we said I do, right? I want to ensure that you have the know-how on how to do that. So here we go. So as a marriage coach, I'm sure people make a lot of assumptions about how my marriage is. And the fact is that my marriage is not perfect at all, right? It is like anybody else's, with the exception that we have the tools, okay? But my marriage is not perfect. We still have disagreements. We, on the rare occasion, have conflict where we argue. And there's times where we forget to be respectful, and times where we're super playful. There's times where it's kind of just like we're just making do. There's times where we are really kind and compassionate, and there's times where we just don't understand each other. And so no one is exempt from experiencing those things. But what my marriage is compared to a lot of others is that it is intentional, okay? And that is really, truly the best thing that you can be, alongside curious, when you want a marriage that succeeds. So everything that I teach you through this show, everything I teach my clients through our sessions, I practice. Is it easy? Not all the time. Sometimes it's easier than others, right? It's obviously easier when my husband and I are feeling connected. It's easier to do things that I know work when we're connected, and it's harder when we're not connected. But I know that these things work. And so him and I are committed to doing those hard things so that we can get back to finding each other again. And I know that connection doesn't happen by accident. It's not just chemistry It is truly built on habits and the choices we make and our intentions with our relationship. So I just want to normalize that, marriage goes through different phases as we go through different seasons of our life as individuals, as parents, and it takes ongoing effort and ongoing growth. And this is true for even someone who helps others with this. This is very much true for me as well. So the first thing that I do to make sure that my marriage is good or great even is that I take care of myself. I have established that I am a priority to myself, which can be difficult for a lot of you to hear, considering that maybe you grew up in a generation where that's not something you do. That's not something that you've been shown. And so that's like a very foreign concept to you. And I do this because I have recognized that when I make sure that I'm doing well, my mental well-being is good, my physical well-being is good, my emotional well-being, all the things, I notice that I show up as a different version of myself. So if I were to be dealing with a situation, the version of me that takes care of myself is going to deal with that with so much more grace, with so much more patience and kindness and respect and compassion and love versus the version of me that doesn't take care of herself. So before I made sure that I did things to care for myself, I would snap. I would be very irritable. I would have a low tolerance for things that didn't sit right with me. And I would not be afraid to let people know, right? And so things that I do to take care of myself might be something that you want to explore or inspire you to figure out what your things are. But for me, on a weekly basis, I go walking several times a week. Today, I walked 2.5 miles. Other days, I play tennis. I also meet up with friends once or twice a week just to connect, whether it's just simply watching a show together and just having that solid girl time, or going out for dinner or brunch, or just sitting around talking to each other. I make sure that I fill my social battery up. I'm an extrovert, just putting that out there. But I make sure that I fill that cup up because I need to feel connected with other women as well, because that's what I need to feel less alone in my struggles and to feel supported and just have this like network or community to lean on when I need support and I need ideas, or I need someone to just hear me and see me in ways that maybe my husband can't relate to. I also do something that I find very fulfilling, which is I'm a marriage coach. That to me brings me a lot of fulfillment, knowing that I am helping others make a positive impact on their life. So when I feel full as a person, I'm able to show up as a very different version of me, one that I like more, one that I love more, and one that I am more proud of because I get to be more present. I get to be more playful. I get to be more flirty. I'm also more available for physical connection versus if I'm just like over it and not available for anyone. Like I just don't want to be talked to. I don't want to be touched. I just want to go to bed. Everybody leave me alone. And so I have noticed how big of a change it creates when I compare when I take care of myself and when I don't take care of myself. The next thing I do is something that I had to learn very much the hard way, because when I would deal with conflict earlier on in my 20s and even in my early 30s, I would struggle with how to initiate conversation. I still did it because I am actually not afraid of confrontation, but I would not do it in a very tactful way. I would create situations where it would end up spiraling and escalating because I was so passive aggressive and unaware of what it is that I was feeling and needing. And it didn't set it up to be a productive or successful conversation. And so what I do now that's different is that I spend time processing my thoughts and feelings before I communicate. And I'll leave that with the parentheses of most of the time. I'm still human. Sometimes I get really fired up and I forget what is going to create the better outcome. And I just jump into the conversation before I'm actually ready. Now, I will say that I naturally want to talk about it right away. Okay, whether that's learned or whether I am just like that, I have no idea. But I will say that learning and trying to process things before talking about it is new to me. It is foreign. I had to practice. I had to understand why it would be a good idea to do such things, because my idea of why it was better to talk sooner than later is because that showed I cared, right? But really, that was just me nervous and feeling that our relationship was not on solid ground and it didn't sit right with me. But what I've learned through trying out this other way, because my husband is more like this is his natural way of being, is like, okay, let me get the lay of the land here. Let me figure out what I think and what I need and what I feel, and then I'll be ready to talk. And so me coming from the opposite end, when he approached conflict that way, I would assume that he didn't care. He didn't want to talk to me and I cared more. But that wasn't true at all, actually. He just wanted to make sure the conversation went well. And so that's something that I learned from him is actually very beneficial to your relationship, because when you're able to get that clarity, which you cannot when you're emotional, right? But when you take time to just let yourself feel those feelings, let yourself reflect on like, why did that happen? What was going on inside of me? What do I need? What did I want to happen instead? And what do I need to happen going forward for this to either A, not happen again, or happen differently, right? How do I need this to change so that we can grow from this? And giving myself that space to sit with it and gain that clarity, I was able to approach conversations feeling more grounded, right? So I'm calmer. I'm able to have the capacity and bandwidth to listen to what he's saying versus just listening to come back with something, right? Or to use it against him. It was very much like weaponized listening. Whereas now I'm like, okay, well, now that I'm clear on what I think and what I feel and what I need, I don't have to spend the time with our conversation trying to figure out how I feel while talking or while I'm listening. I already have it figured out. And instead, I could just spend all that time sharing how that experience was for me and then listening, like truly actively listening to understand my partner. And this is what prevents reacting and encourages responding, which are two very different things, right? Reacting is just very like, I'm going to take what you say and I'm going to use it as ammunition or use it as a way to almost like play the victim. Whereas responding is like, okay, let me take this information, let me sit with it and like update my perspective on this and then respond. Okay. So now I ask myself a lot more reflective questions and I give myself that time before I talk about it and make sure that my feelings are neutral rather than heightened. And that has created much better conversations between us to the point where we don't even really argue anymore. We have disagreements and we talk about it like two mature adults and we move on and we grow from it and do lessons learned, what worked, what didn't work, and we evolve. The third thing I do is I communicate where I'm at. Now, if you've been a loyal listener to this show, you are not new to the idea of us being different versions of us every single day because of our menstrual cycle. So as our hormones fluctuate throughout the cycle, you're going to need different things. You're going to have the capacity for different things, right? So I make sure that I am sharing where I'm at. Energetic wise, like, do I have low energy? Do I have high energy? Am I exhausted? Am I like highly motivated and feeling good to tackle a bunch of tasks? Am I more sensitive? Am I feeling really emotional right now? And I even have this menstrual cycle sticker that is on my mirror, which I will link you to, because that has helped my family understand what version of me that they're going to get. And they know, oh, mom's more tired, or, oh, we're going to need to really be on our A game because mom is not going to be as patient as she normally is. She won't enjoy reminding us a million times to do the same thing. Or, oh, mom is resting on the couch because this is the part of her cycle where she needs to rest more and she needs to get more sleep. And so when I am, for example, in my luteal phase or my menstrual phase, my husband is well aware, and I will let him know, hey, I'm going to need you to step in more, or if you're not able to, okay, like, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to navigate this? Because life still needs to happen, right? People still need to eat. People still got to go to school. Things still need to get done. But this has allowed us to build a higher sense of awareness between us that have helped prevent any misinterpretations behind my moods and my actions and my receptivity, and really gives my husband almost like a roadmap on how to better support me and what to expect from me. Which leads me to number 4. I make life a lot simpler and easier when I need to. We are not like men, right? We can't just go to bed, go to sleep, and start up over again, almost like you hit the reset button with the same level of energy as you had before. No. We as women, we have varying levels of energy depending on which part of the menstrual cycle that we're in. And so during the luteal and the menstrual phases, yeah, I take it easy. And it took me a while to even learn this or even become aware of this. And now it's like, oh, I'm just going to honor where I'm at no matter what phase I'm in. And so if my energy is low, I lower my standards to match it, which means maybe when I have higher energy, I'm going to double up on my meals and freeze some so that on a day that I feel like I need more rest and I don't have the energy to put into cooking, I can just pull something out of the freezer, throw it in the oven or whatever, and then that's it. Or if I didn't do that, I will simplify the meal plan. Like the kids are going to have nuggets and couscous or mac and cheese or something super simple, or maybe we get takeout, right? Or maybe I will delay certain chores that I have, or lower my standards for how it's completed, or break it up so that I accomplish it over a couple of days, or let things slide. So I know for a lot of people who are not aware of, how we change throughout the menstrual cycle, we can easily judge ourselves like, oh, I'm just really lazy. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't feel like it, but I know I should. Or maybe you push yourself to the brink of exhaustion and you're getting sick or you're feeling burned out. And if you're doing that right now, I just want you to just pause and consider, how would life be different if you honored where you're at and allowed yourself to simplify when you need to, right? This is not about being lazy. This is about you being self-aware and protecting your peace so it doesn't spill over into your marriage or even into your kids, because you're going to end up cranky and taking it out on them because they're the easiest targets. They are around you all the time. And it's easy to go into that negative space, right? It's easy to be like, I do everything around here. No one does anything. No one helps me, and rah, rah, rah. And you're super resentful, right? And so this is a great way to be like, I don't have energy today. So what can I do, right? Taking accountability, responsibility for where you're at and adjusting, knowing that when your energy level goes back up, you can turn up the dial, right? You can be more productive. You can get more accomplished. But right now, it's not the time to be doing that. It's the time to reflect. It's time to assess what's going on. And it's the time to rest, right? We can't be on 24/7. And so this is what allows us to continue being that person that we want to be for our family. Like maybe, yes, we're doing less, but if we're doing less instead of pushing ourselves or making ourselves feel guilty because we're not as productive as a couple days ago, we can free up so much in ourselves that we won't be so quick to take things out on our kids or our husbands. And we will have the capacity to still be that version of ourselves that we want to be for them. The fifth thing, I speak my husband's love language. This is a way that I am showing him that I see him, that I accept him for the individual that he is. And knowing and acting on his love languages is a way that I do that, right? So if you're not aware of what love languages are, you need to go Google that, okay? Gary Chapman wrote a book about the 5 love languages. If you have ever felt like, gosh, I do so much for my husband, I don't understand why he doesn't feel connected, or I don't understand why he doesn't feel loved, or vice versa, maybe you need to look into that, right? Because we will naturally love our partner the way we want to be loved. But there's actually different ways that we like to receive love. And so maybe what you're doing is not something that he values very much, right? So let's say you love receiving words of affirmation, compliments, gratitude, recognition, all of that. And you're constantly like, oh, you look good today. Or thank you so much for doing that. That really meant a lot to me. And it's just like going over his head. It's not making a difference. And you're like, gosh, rude, right? But what if his love language is actually physical touch, quality time, or acts of service, and you're not doing any of those things? That means that essentially your efforts, your energy is going nowhere, right? It's not making the impact that you want to have. So knowing each other's love language is so key. And sometimes it does take more effort than you would like because it's not your own love language. And so it's a little uncomfortable maybe, or you're just not as well versed in it. And so it's like more of an effort for you to think of and do. But once you get into it, into the habit of speaking his love language, it's going to make so much of a difference, okay? Because we're parents here, right? So we need to make whatever energy we put into things count. And I firmly believe that when you learn each other's love languages, it's a very efficient way to love each other, okay? So love languages is a great way to nurture your relationship, keep the attraction alive, even while raising kids. The final thing I want to share is that we check in and connect on a daily basis. So this is like a non-negotiable for me, but it doesn't always happen at the same time of day. I just make sure that it happens, right? So simple like, hey, how's everything going today? How's work going today? Or even like before you go to bed, acknowledging each other, not just like having your backs facing each other, you're each on your own devices, doom scrolling or watching shows or whatever. And then you kind of just go to sleep. It's like, are you even sharing a bed with someone? Right? And so even as simple as like turning over, doing a quick touch, good night, love you, whatever, right? That can make a really big difference too. Or like a quick chat to like talk about what's gone on in the day, just to reconnect so that you guys are both aware of how your day has gone. Even physical connection, whether it's cuddling or having sex or whatever. Do something every day to connect in some way. Don't wait until you have that next date night, or don't wait until you have that next vacation without the kids. Connection is something that you need to continue investing into. It doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't even have to be like a deep conversation every time. It just has to be intentional. And so you want to keep doing this so that you can keep that thread strong and intact. And remember that you're a team and not just co-parents, not just roommates, but like, hey, we're a team. We got each other. Because when you feel connected and that connection is nurtured on a regular basis, that helps communication go better. That helps things be more fun, It also helps raise your resilience level and capacity to handle stressful situations, aka the kids or work or anything outside of you two. Okay? So, with that said, these are the 6 things that are non-negotiables for me when it comes to supporting my marriage, because I have a vision for how we're going to be when we get older. And I'll be damned if I don't see to it that that happens. And so this is what I do on a regular basis to make sure that I am intentional in my marriage, that my marriage stays strong, and that we can last through whatever life has in store for us. Okay? So, yeah, even as a marriage coach, I'm always choosing to practice what I teach. And the work isn't about being perfect or getting it perfect. It's about showing up. It's about checking in. It's about continuing to grow together and deciding to do that. It truly does take your commitment and effort. So here's my invitation to you to think of one simple thing that you can start doing each day to nurture your connection with your partner. And then do it. Add more things, switch things up, whatever you see fit, and see what it does. And if you're not in this place where you're like, I don't see myself doing that, I actually am feeling resistance to doing this, it's probably because you're feeling resentful. It's probably because you haven't felt connected in a while and it feels like pushing a boulder up a hill to even do these things. Or maybe you feel like it's not going to work. Then it's probably time to book a clarity call with me. And we can talk about how marriage coaching can support you in helping you work through that resistance that you're experiencing and helping you build those tools on how to have a strong foundation for your marriage so that you know how to handle any future speed bumps that you encounter and know that you guys have each other and can feel like we can tackle anything. Okay? So, link is in the show notes. Schedule that call. I would love to get to know you and see how I can support you in your marriage goals and help you be one of those couples that have said to me that through marriage coaching, their marriage has done a 180. Okay? I'm talking going from like, I'm not sure we like each other anymore to we are smitten. Okay? So let's talk. And that's all I have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to listen back to this as a refresher or listen back to it and take notes if needed, but definitely start taking action, okay? This is going to make such a huge difference for you. I know it because I do it myself, and I know that when I don't do it, it makes a really big difference. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please do them a favor and share this with them. Better yet, share this episode in your Instagram stories and tag me so I can give you a shout out. And if you love this show, please rate and review this show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. I would so appreciate that. That brings a smile to my face and also helps this show grow so that more people like you can get the support that they need. And that's all. I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.